But now it's time for all of our countries, for all of us who have been fortunate enough to be given political power by our respective peoples, to use it wisely to improve their lives. And I want to say that, I was fortunate in my time here to spend some time outside the walls of this conference over the last 24 hours. And I've been so impressed by the hospitality of the people, even as, of course, as they're reeling from yesterday's horrendous attack.
The MAGA movement has always been built on hypocrisy, on shameless lying. And of course, on that phrase that rings so true, every Republican accusation is an admission of the truth about themselves. And nowhere is that clear than in what Elon Musk just did now. Over the weekend, we saw J.D. Vance lecture pretty much the entire world at the Munich Security Conference that conservatives, Republicans, they don't have enough of a platform. Their speech is being suppressed, she said, as the vice president of the United States. But that hypocrisy...
We gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security. And normally, we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values, we must live them. Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected.
So my ears didn't deceive me, and I wanted to make sure that y'all were able to hear the same thing JD is saying. That other countries, they're suppressing free speech. Republicans don't have enough of a platform. Donald Trump as president, Elon Musk controls Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or in Donald Trump's pocket. Along with TikTok, Fox is the biggest cable outlet, Joe Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. They have the biggest podcast in the world, but no Republicans don't have a big enough platform, and their speech is being suppressed. It's not Donald Trump barring the AP from the White House press corps. That's suppression of free speech. It's Republicans being held accountable when they say racist things. And even when they do say racist things, like one of Elon Musk Doge bags, one of his lackeys celebrating racism, saying he was doing it before it was cool, sure, he gets fired for half a second, then he gets rehired. That's the suppression of free speech. It's all so ridiculous. It's all so nonsensical. nonsensical, and it makes what Elon Musk just did that much worse. Let's take a look. Elon Musk says 60 Minutes staffers deserve a long prison sentence in response to show's interview with a GOP Doge critic. Elon Musk accused the staff of CBS's 60 Minutes of being the biggest liars in the world on Sunday and declared they deserve a long prison sentence. Musk made the chilling post on X in reply to a 60 Minutes tweet promoting its latest episode. President Trump says USAID is rife with fraud. But a Republican former administrator of USAID calls that utter nonsense, saying USAID is the most accountable aid agency in the world. Read the 160 Minutes post, which linked to a clip from the show's interview with him. He's been a prominent defender of USAID as a key national security tool around the world and has publicly refuted claim that Doge needed to shutter the agency to stop widespread fraud and wasteful spending. Musk replied in Rome, 60 Minutes are the biggest liars in the world. They engaged in deliberate deception to interfere with the last election. They deserve a long prison sentence. Musk shared a clip from 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Harris during the election. As part of his post, President Donald Trump has long railed against 60 Minutes for having edited its interview with VP Harris. Trump eventually sued CBS over the interview, which resulted in both CBS and the FCC releasing the full transcript and unedited version of the interview. Media ITs Colby Hull dug through all the release material and argued that CBS did everything right. After careful review, I can confirm why CBS complied with the FCC's demands. The footage and transcripts reveal that 60 Minutes follow the standard operating procedure that any news outlet would in an edited tape interview with a high-profile subject for air, all concluded rebuffing Trump's claims that the interview was somehow deceptively edited to make Harris look better. So Elon Musk, the champion of free speech, a free speech absolutist in his own words, is now saying that 60 Minutes staffers should go to jail for platforming someone who is an expert in the agency that he tried to and might successfully shut down, criticizing his his action coming from a place of expertise. That person being put on air is worthy of jail time for staffers at 60 Minutes. The free speech absolutist said that doesn't get more hypocritical than that. After what we saw from J.D. Vance, after what we hear from Elon Musk all the time, does it get more hypocritical than that? I really can't imagine it does, but this is what it's all about. The intimidation. Sure, Donald Trump knows that VP Harris's interview with 60 Minutes was edited as any other interview would be, or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's so crazy, he can't even understand that CU. He's always so mad, and he's still furious that she humiliated him in front of tens of millions of people in their first and last debate. Would he wouldn't do another one because he was scared. But no matter what, they edited the interview because interviews get edited down. Donald Trump isn't suing because of that. He is suing. So the media knows that he is always willing to dispense however many lawyers and however much pressure he can as president to get them to fall in line. And largely they have, because this is corporate media that they're dealing with. So they will fall in line because they have bigger corporate interests at play here. That is what Elon is trying to do. That's what Trump's trying to do. They're trying to run the government like a mob boss. It is all about intimidation. And it's also all about distraction from their failures, which we see countless of them every single day almost. That is what this is all about. Distraction and intimidation. That is the Trump administration. And it's something that AOC articulated really well, and a really great takedown of Elon as well. And a clip that I want to check out right here.
Because mind you, the Pentagon has not passed an audit. The Pentagon fails their audit all the time and has yet to pass an audit. But this is where they're getting their bread buttered. So they want you to think that it's the viejita who's getting Medicaid who's getting her insulin paid for on Medicaid, that is the waste, because what they don't want you to do is to look at US defense spending, particularly defense contractors, and even in that under area of defense contractors, their defense contracts. Microsoft, Amazon, a lot of these AI initiatives, defense contracts, which by the way should not be legal. And we saw this. We saw some of the early use of AI being used in war, which in a way should absolutely be illegal. Robots make mistakes, and if you accidentally bomb a building or just bomb a building indiscriminately without proper human oversight, which by the way we saw initially tested on Palestinians in Gaza, but that's not going to stop there. If you allow that to continue, it can continue. So anyways, what they don't want you to look at is their defense contracts. Also, Amazon, Microsoft, their integrations with ICE and immigration as well. I'm going to get to these things, but we have to lay out the full landscape, okay? So if we want to know what the motivation is, why this is happening, understand that it is deeply tied to the deadline that billionaires and the rich are confronting right now this year in 2025. And what they want to do is suspend the actual assistance that you receive, whether it is through education, whether it's through healthcare, etc. They want to suspend that and gut that in order to finance their own public looting and public coffers, okay? So when you see these plane crashes, or when you see the disruptions with air traffic controllers and things like this, or when you see all this stuff that's happening at the FAA, understand again, this happened, and what happened, the FAA administrator was on leave. He had retired. Why? Because he had challenged SpaceX and wanted to find SpaceX. So understand, when you see all of this stuff happening, it's not all random overwhelm. It's about the money. Immigration, these massive expansions on immigration, they want you to believe that they're only going after criminals. They're going after everybody. They even arrested Puerto Ricans. They're going after everybody. And understand that this is how indiscriminate they are being. And they are doing this because also, you know who finances a lot of Republican campaigns? The private prison industry. They know that they actually can't deport all of these people at once in one go. And what do you do when you grab someone off the street but you can't deport them for a long time? You build private prison camps. And this is we already saw them start to do that. And this is, especially with passage of certain legislation, this is what it's set to do. Okay? So understand the central motivations.
We have to make clear what these guys are trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish. Call it out. Be very clear and direct about it's the only way we are going to message against it in this tremendous disadvantage we are at in a media environment dominated by Republicans, with CEOs putting their thumb on the scale for Donald Trump and conservative voices supporting him. The same conservative voices I've been told by J.D. Vance are being suppressed. But when has he ever been right about anything? Except for when he said Donald Trump would be a dictator a couple of years ago. That's what he was right about. Since then, batting average has plummeted, but we'll call them out. That's what we're going to be doing on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.